November 11th is a day to honor the men and women who fought hard to protect our country. The Veterans Day Parade does just that.
Well, it makes me very proud that I was not only selected for this, but also to represent everybody else that put on the uniform and served this country.
The theme of this year's parade was A Grateful Nation Salutes Women Veterans. Grand Marshal Honoree Renee Fancher had many achievements throughout her career in the military.
So it was a huge honor to start at the bottom of the team and eventually become the team chief. So that was my goal and what I did.
Director Jennifer Vedral-Barron had a huge obstacle when she first started her career, but she overcame it as she worked her way up in the ranks.
So in 1986, women couldn't serve on carriers, for instance. And I really wanted to be a ship nurse and couldn't do it initially.
Parade showcased many high school bands, as well as local Girl and Boy Scout troops.
So this morning we're starting, as you can see outside, we've got everybody showing up. We've got just about 60 groups coming in today. Everything from Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, military vehicles, hot rods, motorcycles.
Many hearts were touched during this memorable event. For Middle Tennessee News, I'm Cheyenne Avila.
And the home of the brave.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful idea. I'm glad the mayor brought it up and it got all the support of the council. We love to support veterans here in Murfreesboro, and this town has a lot of them, and we're so thankful, and this is just good timing. So.
Middle Tennessee State University welcomed Holocaust survivors Francis Cutler Hahn and Jack Isaac Cohen inside the James Union building on Wednesday. Guests of all ages rushed through the doors to hear the survivors' stories. Both Hahn and Cohen were young children during World War II when the Nazis invaded their home countries of France and Greece. Hahn's parents sent her to a Catholic children's home at the age of 3, where her Jewish identity was hidden.
Paris was officially liberated on August 25, 1944. 76,000 French Jews perished. 70% were foreign-born like my mother.
During the Holocaust, her mother died at Auschwitz, and her father, a member of the French resistance, was killed in combat. The first week of 1956, Cohen and his family escaped Greece for America. Cohen shared just a little bit with us about what him and his father had to go through.
The bishop in our town, the German commandant, came to him and gave him 24 hours to give him a list of all the Jews' names and addresses and phone numbers. When he went back to get the list, there was one name on that list, and that was his name.
In his speech, Cohen spoke about the power of acceptance versus tolerance. Without the help of individuals not targeted by the Nazis in his hometown, Cohen says he'd not be alive today. Francis Cutler Hahn and Jack Isaac Cohen now reside in Tennessee. While Francis now lives in Nashville, Cohen lives in Memphis. Following a recent rise in white supremacy and anti-Semitic speech in America, Hahn had to add slides to her presentation, which she says is very unfortunate and concerning.
Let us combat hatred by fostering a world of love and understanding where all people are equally valued and protected. Thank you very much.
Reporting for Middle Tennessee News, I'm Gracie Martin.
The year was 1950. Many young men were eager to go out and fight for their country. One of those brave men was Joe Thompson. On a lonesome road in College Grove, Tennessee, remains one house where he resided most of his time. The road is barren, except for the occasional passes of construction trucks. But there lays a house that is rich in history. The house, whose foundation is supported by a couple of bricks, was often the gathering place for family get-togethers. A barn that stands upright next to the house is where Thompson spent the majority of his time, fixing his trucks, as one of the things he did for fun was racing them. There is often a misconception that once a veteran is deceased, they're gone forever, but there is a way to get a piece of their life back. Shirley Patton, one of Thompson's daughters, was able to retrieve some of his records through a simple procedure.
So in order for me to get my father's records, I had to know the following things: his name, his birthday, his time of service, and his combat number.
Shirley sent the files to an Air Force personnel record facility in Universal City, Texas. And in a few weeks, in the mail, she received some of her father's belongings. Inside the thick package was 2 medals honoring his service and a metal name plaque. Shirley says she will always keep and honor these belongings to be a reminder of what a brave man her father was. For Middle Tennessee News, Alicia Patton.
Army veterans take on several different jobs after coming home from being deployed. Craig Olson and James Gordon talk about their career after serving in the Army.
My job as a recruiter is I work on a social media aspect. I create ads, I generate leads, I post job posts on like LinkedIn, Indeed, all those big things, just to draw interest and see if people are interested in joining the Army.
So job now is a battalion operations NCO. Basically what I do is I review law waivers, medical waivers, when people need a little extra to get in, we're the people that go through them and make sure everything's good.
Life after actively serving in the Army can be very rewarding. Olson was also able to work in the White House alongside both President Barack Obama and Donald Trump.
Never thought like a kid from Clarksville, Tennessee was going to be able to work at the White House. I got to park right in front of the White House. I got to wear a suit. I didn't wear this uniform, I wore a suit every day.
Both Gordon and Olson agreed that the general public have many misconceptions about what their life is like while actively serving in the Army. Although some soldiers do experience things that may cause them to have PTSD, not all do.
Some jobs aren't just meant to do that. There's over 150 of them, so you can do a ton of things for the Army. It's not always you have to go to war and you're always front lines. There's
a lot of misconceptions that, you know, you're going to go to war, you're going to be in trouble, you're just going to come back with PTSD and all.
For some, the work doesn't stop after they are done actively serving. For Middle Tennessee News, I'm Kyla Briggs. Army veteran.
Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Idle hands. They say they're the devil's workshop. But give idle hands a place to go, a purpose, and they're capable of amazing things.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
It started with the original care package, and millions more like it. Passed from hand to hand, across land and sea, to help survivors in the aftermath of war. As we grew, we found better ways to help those in need. Ways to make a real difference, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Be the difference in people's lives. Help deliver lasting change at care.org.
Every day,
Communique number 1, June 6th, Allied headquarters. Under command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces supported by strong air forces began landing Allied armies on the northern coast of France.
If God is with me, who can be against me?
These words still ring true 75 years later to Ivy Agee Jr., a survivor of World War II and one of the few remaining soldiers who stormed the beaches of Normandy. Now 96, Agee can still recall seeing thousands of his comrades lying in the red waters right before his eyes.
It was awful because there's a lot of blood shed, and that was hard for me to accept, to see all that blood. It just, did something to me inside that I couldn't get over it.
After so many years, Agee has tried to forget much of the war, but there are some things that this brave soldier can never forget.
So that's what hurt me so much. My comrade being dead, and I'd have to pass over them and leave them there.
Family and faith have remained a constant in Agee's life, especially during his time on Omaha Beach. Agee was awarded by both the French and American militaries as a part of the 29th Infantry Division.
That was their song, you know, their motto, I guess you call it. Tonight, let's go.
A.G. served for 34 months overseas, separated from his family, his wife, and his nation, which he so dearly loves.
Oh yeah, I'm proud to be American. I'm glad I did what I did. I'm not sorry about anything I did, because I was doing it for my country and for God. Because I think God was with me all the way through it, or I wouldn't have made it.
Communique number 1, June 6th, Allied headquarters. Under command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces supported by strong air forces began.
June 6, 1944, a day that to many fills oceans away.
It will never be forgotten, but it won't perhaps have the same significance as it does certainly to my generation.
It's hard to blame his concern. Just talk to a World War II veteran.
I meet so many of the young people, and you mention to them Battle of the Bulge, and they never heard of it.
While it is true that younger people may not know as much as those in the past about World War II, they may surprise you by what they know and what they've read in the history books.
Whenever I was 6, I found out that my dad's grandfather was in the Army. So then I told my dad what war was he in, and he told me the second.
And since that moment, Bryson has been researching his little heart out. He's got plenty of World War II facts. For example,
He was against the Japanese, and he had to climb up a rope, and he was the medic that never fired his weapon, Desmond Doss.
and he's got more facts to go along. He's even got his whole class interested in the war. Of course, this is a patriotic class as it is. They even sing the national anthem every single day. So it shouldn't surprise you when they can tell you that
Hitler killed himself. Yeah, at the end. I think he had a pistol or a revolver, and then he put it up to his head, and then he killed himself. I think it's a Scheinkensie. That's how you say it in German. What does that mean? It means America.
Of course, he's still learning as much as he can, and he and his classmates seem to be giving hope to an older generation that worries about keeping the past alive.
As long as there's guys like me still around, remembering, maybe it'll be a while, but when I'm gone, who am I going to remind?
But with students like Bryson, there shouldn't be any worry, as long as they continue to share the stories of World War II to the next generation of students and beyond.
You know, I think women are finding out that we can do the impossible.
2019 marks the 100th year anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which grants women the same voting rights as men. It also gave women equal rights in positions of the armed forces.
I was a 6317 aviation electronics technician for F-18s in the United States Marine Corps.
I was a flight nurse. I was a med tech for 7.5 years before I got my commission, and then I finished my career 13 years as an officer.
MTSU hosted an honorary event that awarded many women for their brave actions that the 19th Amendment gave them.
The 19th Amendment means to me like another check in the box for women's rights and freedoms.
Women across the country get to fight the same fight as males do today.
I think that's the powerful thing about our country, is that men and women can go and do the same fight for the same liberties that you and I have every day. I think it's powerful.
There has been a growing number in women in the armed forces since the amendment has passed. In today's armed forces, women make up 20% of the total population, and that number is continuing to grow. Women should follow this incredible advice.
Don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do it.
With the current state of the armed forces, women by 2025 will make up around 30% of the total number. With Middle Tennessee News, I'm Dante Rucker.
Veterans are working hard on and off the field. For some, home is still where the heart is.
I wanted to do something different, kind of do more to give back to my community, and so I volunteered to become a recruiter, and I've been doing that for the last 10 years.
Even then, they still face misconceptions about their services.
So the biggest one, obviously, is that we all go to war, which in my case, clearly I went to war, but not all of us do. Some jobs aren't just meant to do that.
The Army offers more than 150 jobs, and even then, not all of them end up being on the field.
And my deployments consisted of working behind a desk because I'm communications. So if people needed their phones working, they needed computers working, set up networks.
And as for Veterans Day, Sergeant First Class Marchman's advice for civilians is to get to know their community better.
You may be surprised to find out how many teachers, nurses, doctors, various community partners that we have within our neighborhood that have actually served at one point or another. So,
For Middle Tennessee News, I'm Marette Hennon.
Idle hands. They say they're the devil's workshop. But give idle hands a place to go, a purpose, and they're capable of amazing things.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
It started with the original care package, and millions more like it. Passed from hand to hand, across land and sea, to help survivors in the aftermath of war. As we grew, we found better ways to help those in need. Ways to make a real difference, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Be the difference in people's lives. Help deliver lasting change at care.org.